This has been another fitting tribute to Cecil the Lion, according to me. Another fitting tribute to Cecil the Lion, according to me.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.
This has been another fitting tribute to Cecil the Lion, according to me. Another fitting tribute to Cecil the Lion, according to me.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.
This has been another fitting tribute to Cecil the Lion. A tribute to Cecil the Lion, according to me.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lions.
This has been a tribute to Cecil the Lion, according to me. Another fitting tribute to Cecil the Lion, according to me.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.
This has been another fitting tribute to Cecil the Lion, according to me.
On this week's episode of According to Me and Bunny, Al Gore has some important updates in regards to climate change. We'll talk about that later on in the program. Plus, McDonald's, Nickelback. Yeah, they're similar in my eyes. I'll explain. We have the Asshat of the Week later on in the program, as we always do, but we're going to start this week talking about the crazy conservative, Republican, Muslim, atheist, Satanist, psychopath in Oregon, and why now is an appropriate time to actually have the conversation, not the day it happened. That's next, here on According to Me and Bunny. Here's the story of Polita Bunny. Annoying liberals on Twitter was her goal. She had a radio show, and it was badass, with lots of fans and lots of trolls.
Here's a story of a guy named Jason who had an awesome internet talk show of his own. There were lots of voices on the air together, but he did it all alone. And one day Barney messaged him on Facebook, and they knew the NSA would be appalled that these two would do a show together. And now you're about to hear what it is called.
According to me
And Bunny.
According to me
And Bunny. This is the theme song for According to Me and Bunny.
From the Kensington Place Studios, it's According to Me and Bunny. Barack Obama, Mitch McConnell, and Donald Trump's second most hated internet radio program. The 2-hour show that lasts 60 minutes. And during those next 60 minutes, sit back, be prepared to be informed, entertained, and possibly offended. Take your pants off, it's fine. Pants are optional here on According to Me and Bunny, as you know. I'm your host, Jason D. Wilkins, and joining me this week, as always, is nobody, actually. I'll explain. Don't freak out on me, okay? If you're a fan of the bunny, and you've only heard my voice for the last couple of weeks as her and I have been doing a show together, stick around. We got lots to talk about, and it's going to be a fun show. We're going to talk McDonald's and Nickelback later on in the program. Again, we're also going to have the Asshat of the Week like we always do here on According to Me. Al Gore, of course, is going to give us some updates. But let me explain why we're doing a show this week and why Bunny's not here. Actually, we're going to do a show at all this week, and let me tell you why. Both of us have a life outside of our radio show. I know. And this is a crazy week for both of us, but for different reasons. Sam has a crazy week going on, so we had talked a couple weeks ago about, hey, October 7th, ain't going to happen. And her reasons were a lot more valid than mine, but I'm going to tell you why I am also not planning, I wasn't planning on doing a show this week, but of course I'm doing it anyway. And that is this. The Chicago Cubs are in a one-game playoff as this show is live. Hint, if you listen Wednesday nights live to the broadcast on K98, you're actually hearing a recorded episode, because no flippin' way was I going to miss the Cub game. I love you guys, but not that much. I like the Cubs just a little more than you. Actually, a lot more. I'm just kidding. But, so I said, no way, when the Cubs are on TV in a one-game playoff, again, if you're a Cubs fan, you know why this is a big deal. Am I missing the game? No way, it's just not going to happen. And Sam's like, well, that's good, because I got stuff going on. So we weren't actually going to do a show this week. And then, as more information came out, and as the reaction of the media came out in droves in regards to what happened in Oregon, I was so pissed off about it. I'm like, if we don't do a show this week, then we won't be able to talk about it till the following week, and it'll be too late to do it. But damn it, we've got to say something. I've got to say something. And so that plus other fun things that we'll do throughout the program. But again, we're going to lead off with the immediately reported conservative, crazy Republican guy who then was an atheist, then Muslim, now he's a Satanist, but he's white. We definitely know he's white, except he's not white, but CNN says he's white. And why would we listen to the mainstream media when it comes to race anyway? I mean, if you think about it, George Zimmerman's a white Hispanic, Rachel Dolezal's black, Sean King's black. So this guy, it doesn't really matter, does it? But we do know the problem. We know the problem. We know that guns are the problem. And that's what prompted me to do this episode this week that I wasn't planning on doing. And I'm not going to give you the news behind it. The guy who did this was this and this. This portion of this has been out long enough that you know that. You guys are plugged in. You're engaged. You know what's going on. But I want to give some opinions in regards to this for a couple of different reasons. I refrained from commenting or posting or discussing this issue with anybody the day it happened. And the reason being is because I didn't know all what happened. The media said 15 people are dead, then it's 7, then it's 13, and it's 9, and it's who knows. The families haven't even been notified yet, and yet I'm sure this happened to you because this happened to me. All over your social media, people are politicizing already what happened 4 hours ago in Oregon. You have the left going, this is why we need gun control. Right away, we got to do something. And then you have the right going, no, we don't. There's more people who drown in bathtubs and blah, blah, blah. Listen, stop. Can we have a moratorium at least? Can we agree on at least a 24 to 48 flippin' hour moratorium on politicizing the death of innocent people? Can we do that just once? Just one time? Please? Please? Which is why I said nothing about it, because I didn't even know all of the facts yet or the story, because we didn't know everything. We still don't know everything, really. For the most part, we kind of sort of know a flippin' week later. But that didn't stop the POTUS. No. Why would that stop King Barack? I mean, of course, this only happened a couple hours ago and we don't know all the facts yet, but we got to have a press conference right away because I got to say something about it. I don't even know who's all dead yet, but I got to say something about it because this gives me the opportunity. Again, never let a serious crisis go to waste. Right, Kung Fu Panda? You're not going to let that happen. So you're going to take and seize the day and make sure that this is my chance to once again push gun control that has failed every time I've tried to attempt it, because even most blue dog Democrats and moderate Democrats, and there still are some of them in the House and Senate, go, yeah, my constituents really don't want gun control, so I'm going to leave that alone. It's a winning argument every time, but yet this guy's going to continue to push it, and many people do. So we don't even know all the facts of the situation yet, but he's going to go up there and go, this just reminds us that we got to do something in regards to guns in our country, right? And I'm going to pray for the innocent people who were. I don't actually believe in God, but let's say if I did, if you do, you should pray for them, and let's do something about guns. I mean, that was the whole point of the entire conversation. That was what it is. I didn't even listen to the whole thing. I don't need to. All I need to hear is that on the day that innocent people are shot in a gun-free zone in Oregon, and the president's going to say something, I wonder what he's going to talk about. I don't need to hear it. I can tell you what he said. I didn't even hear it. That's what he said. But then the next day, smoke cleared a little bit. But then you had some people on social media. I had a friend of mine who, it just became a common theme of, well, we got to do something. We just got to do something. And it's still going on now in the media. Let me ask you, what is it we can do? If you're the president, what are you going to do about this? And again, a lot of your friends and people that you probably know on social media and Facebook are like, we got to do something about this. I mean, this is just out of control. We've got to do something. We've just got to do something about this. Good friend of mine who we couldn't disagree on politics more, but he's still a good friend of mine, posted, this article about, here's a list of the 200 and some odd mass shootings that have happened in the United States so far in 2015, but we don't have any sort of gun problem, do we? And so I responded back with a simple question. Look, I'm not trolling here, and you and I disagree on everything politically, but I'm going to ask you a question. So, you say we got to do something. Exactly what is it you want to do? And that's the thing, is no one has an answer. Other than, well, just something. We got to do something. Okay, so it's a typical progressive left answer. Let's create more laws on top of more laws to make things better. We already have laws in place. We don't enforce any of them, like immigration, for example, but let's just write more laws on top of the laws we don't enforce, because that's going to make everything work just fine. And that's the answer. We've got to do something. Well, what exactly? What is it you propose we do? And I'm just tired of people who are ignorant about gun laws in the first place, whether in the United States or state-to-state laws, going on television and saying, well, I mean, this is why we need background checks. We already have background checks! Have you bought a gun? Because I have. Guess what happened? You give them your ID, and they call it in. And they do a background check before they sell you a gun. It already exists. We have presidential candidates going, well, this is why we need background checks. They're already there. And think of just how stupid that really sounds. Let's say there's a stretch of road that has a 50 miles an hour speed limit, and I drive 80 miles an hour down the road and run over a family of 4. Is the response going to be, well, we've got to do something about this? Because the common sense response is, we already have a speed limit. He just doesn't care what the speed limit is. Which is why he was driving 30 miles an hour to the limit and killed people. But yet no one ever says, well, we got to do something about people speeding and getting into wrecks. But we do that with guns. We got to do something. We got to have background checks that already exist. Because it's the people who don't know anything about guns, don't buy guns, and look their nose down at guns, who are the ones who don't understand how it works in the first place. So they think they need to write more laws about things they don't know about anyway. and again, have a disdain for in the first place. The average person must think that some good old boy walks into Walmart and says, I tell you what, let me get 2 of them shotguns right over there, and I tell you what, that's a mighty fine 9mm. Is that M&P? Yeah, why don't you give me one of them too, and give me a case of ammunition and some hollow points too. Give me some of them. And you mind ringing me up here I got a Dale Jr. sleeveless tee and a case of Budweiser. You mind ringing this up here? I can do that all right here at the gun counter? All right, well, go ahead and do that for me. That's not what happens. But the Hillary Clintons of the world think that's how it works. I could just walk into a store and just buy guns and no one cares. No one questions it. There's no process. Any idiot can just walk in and say, I have money. I want gun now. It doesn't work that way. But Jason, what about mental health issues? I mean, the one common thing we can all agree here is all these people who did what they've done over the last couple of years, whether it's Newtown or and there were a movie theater or this guy out in Oregon. We all know the common theme is they're crazy. These people are Looney Tunes. They should be able to get guns. They should be able to get guns. Well, that makes sense. You're right. Here's the problem. Who determines if you're crazy or not? Because whether it's the guy who shot up the church down in Alabama, or whether it's Adam Lanza in Newtown, or whether it's, James Holmes in Colorado, or the crazy man out in Oregon, or the guy who shot people live on television, after the fact, when you peel back the onion, you go, all these guys were a little cuckoo. Yeah, what they leave behind gives us every indication that these guys are kind of nuts. Get it? But not one doctor with any of these guys are like, yeah, this dude's out of his flippin' mind. So even mental health checks wouldn't have applied to these people who do the killings you're so against. Again, you hear background checks and mental health checks. All of these crimes that have happened, of note recently, all the mass shootings, none of the laws that you have on the books now that you say we still need would stop this from happening. Yeah, but that's now, Jason. I mean, we need to make mental health laws stronger and tougher. Okay, again, who decides if you're nuts? And maybe your doctor does, right? Maybe the doctor asks questions like, do you have any guns in the house? Oh, wait, that's already happening. Yeah, new Obamacare regulations, a new, we just got to update our paperwork. Could you just fill out a couple extra things in this clipboard here? Just some questions about, your overall health and how many guns you own. Things like that. Just simple things. Well, wait a minute, why are you asking me about what kind of guns I own? Well, just have on file. I mean, we're not going to share it with anybody, even though we have electronic records we have to share with the government. So, I mean, they'd see it too. But just to update the clipboard, just fill it out, and whenever you're done, just turn it in. Thanks. What's going on now, right? But that's how it stands now, Jason. I mean, we've got to do something. We got to get stronger about mental health issues, okay? Well, who's the judge and jury on that one? The government? Your doctor? A doctor? I don't know. I do know this. We try to make sure that every single person who comes back from being deployed has PTSD. We definitely want to make sure that they're categorized as that because, I got to worry about this guy. It seems a little off kilter, So, well, anybody diagnosed with PTSD automatically can't have their gun anymore, even though they serve their country. Oh, well, that's not cool. Well, what about the kids who we've been giving Ritalin to since the age of 5? What happens when they grow up to be 20 years old and they've been prescribed with ADHD for the last 15 years and they're on all types of meds? Well, that also shows a pattern of mental issues, and that means you don't get guns. Say what now? Exactly. So who's the judge and jury over what makes you crazy insane you shouldn't have a gun and, well, you probably shouldn't have a gun because we say so? Again, who makes that distinction? Well, typical conservative always, no. But what ideas do you have? Huh? I don't really have a way to stop this issue at all. I can tell you that about 90% of the mass shooting statistics that are out there happen where? In a place you can't have a gun. That I can tell you. Because just like my little story before where even though the speed limit was 50 miles an hour, I was driving 80 because I didn't care what the law was. Yeah, that's what happens in gun-free zones with psychopaths. They kind of sort of don't care that guns aren't allowed here. So they bring them in to go up against people who are armed because they actually obey the law. Crazy, right? Think about how Sandy Hook or Oregon or the Aurora movie theater or the church in Alabama, think about how different those situations would have been if somebody lawfully had a conceal and carry. Yeah, line me up and ask me if I'm a Christian. Go right ahead. Boom! See ya! That can't happen, can it? And the irony is, we have gun-free zones which invite people to come in with a gun, and then we call a police officer to take out the guy with a gun with a gun. See, cops bring guns to kill people who have guns. But before the cops get there, you had several people who are dead. And there's nothing you can do about it. You have one incredibly brave man who charged the guy. How many people were killed? Because they had no way to defend themselves. Because one would think at places where there's a bunch of guns, there'd be a bunch of gun violence. Like at gun shows, right? I mean, everyone's packing a gun, not only who's there, but then you got places who are selling guns all over the place. There's ammunition all over the place, but yet I don't think I've ever heard of a crazy shootout, mass shooting at a gun show. Doesn't happen. You know, I've also never heard that happening at like a Gander Mountain or a Bass Pro Shops or places like that. I've never heard of, places that sell rifles and shotguns and pistols and ammunition and you name it, they have it. I never heard of a crazy 5-person death in the middle of a Bass Pro Shop. I've never heard that story before. Weird. Besides Chris Kyle and the crazy guy, and it was a private, setting at the time with just 2 people at the gun range. You have people every single day and every single weekend, dozens of people at a time, lining up and shooting live bullets, either inside or outside, at a range. Don't hear about a lot of deaths there either, do you? It's crazy. But where do they happen? At places that you can't bring a gun. That makes me think there's a problem with that. This just in. And if you want to solve violence in certain areas, if you want to solve violence at universities, you want to solve violence at elementary schools, here's a real simple way. Have people with flipping guns there. Period. Because half of these crazy psychopaths with a death wish sit down to pee and don't have the balls to go into a place where people are armed. They'll go into places where they're not armed and have free reign of the place. Hope the cops get there in time. And I can politicize it now because we're a week after the fact. So let's have at it. The same party who says we got to do something about this gun issue. We've got to get our arms around gun violence here in America because we have to save lives. The same people that are so concerned about saving the lives of those who were killed in gun violence are the same ones who are a rubber stamp for Planned Parenthood year after year after year, which, as we all now know, even though we've known this for a while, but we have video evidence to prove it, they're nothing more than a baby death camp that sells the parts of aborted children for profit. But we're concerned about life, aren't we? Sure we are. The same guy who holds a press conference when we don't even know the actual victims, and none of their families have been identified. We don't even know how many people are dead. The same guy who has that press conference is the same guy who just signed us up with a peace deal, and that's the biggest quotation fingers I can ever give you, with a country who chants death to America every opportunity they get. But we're concerned about saving the lives of innocent Americans, aren't we, Barack? But go ahead and just rubber stamp this Iran deal, because they're totes going to be transparent with us, and they really want peace. And the best for us and the best for Israel. Totally. That's happening. But yes, let's be concerned about life, Mr. Disingenuous One. Way to go. I don't know what the answer is, but I know it's not a gun issue. The gun is a product. Just like fire. Fire can heat my home, and fire can burn it down. A gun can take an innocent life, or a gun can save a life. But it's never news when that's the case. But we have an issue of the heart. We have an issue in which we don't even value what life is anymore. I don't want to keep talking about abortion, but for God's sake, we as a country can't even agree that that's death. We can't even do that. So what makes you think that we as a society have any grasp of what life and death actually is anymore, and that death is a really, really bad thing? And that life has value to it? Who cares? We're also living in a world of social media and Facebook and Twitter, and the common theme among all the psychos who've done what they've done is, they didn't score with the chicks. They weren't part of the cool kids. Well, this is going to get me attention. These are the same people who probably, post a picture of what they ate for dinner and, click refresh every 30 seconds on Facebook to see how many likes it got. And no one liked the fact that I had lasagna last night. I'm going to shoot people. This is the kind of people we're dealing with here. I'm dead serious. I don't know how you fix that. But instead of focusing on the cycle, let's focus on the heroes. Let's focus on someone who charged, unarmed, at this crazy man who was shot several times. First week he was at school, clinging on to life. But he's going to live. Think of the martyrs, quite frankly, who died. And by the way, no one's talking about the fact that the guy's saying, hey, are you Christian? You are? Well, you're going to meet God. Boom! No one's saying that. Now, have someone ask, let's round up a bunch of Muslims in a mosque or something like that. Holy crap, would that be a big deal? There's no war on Christians going on. What are you talking about? Of course there was. It's exactly what this was. Yet there's no talk about that. But I'll tell you what, the one thing that did make me really reflect on, same thing that's happening in the Middle East. ISIL's coming through and saying, you're a Christian? Yes, I am. You sure about that? Because here's your chance to convert or die. And they go, sorry, I'm a Christian. Boom! Or you get your head cut off. Or your throat slit. And that's what happened in Oregon. You Christian? If you said no, or, oh, no, I'm not really sure. Boom, you got shot in the leg. But if you looked this psychopath in the eye and said, are you a Christian? And you said yes, you were dead. Now, how many people, how strong are you in your conviction, in your belief in God, in your belief in Christ, that you would have said, yes, I am? That is something to think about. This monologue was brought to you by our sponsor, rwnjfunding.com. Look, we've heard of Kickstarter, we've heard of GoFundMe. We've seen a lot of campaigns that are launched, a lot of people's dreams come true, and causes are funded. The problem is it sometimes all depends on what kind of side of the political fence you sit on. Because if it's not PC, you have a lot of people who run these organizations who are going to cower to political mob pressure. And that's what they do. Well, not our friends at rwnjfunding.com. They don't do that at all. Because they are the alternative. It's a chance to raise funds from friends and supporters, but with a company that has your values. They don't play politics with it. Check out rwnjfunding.com. Great company, owned by a great guy who's a fan of Politainment and all the shows on it. And as a listener of the show, here's what they're going to do for you. For the first 10 campaigns that raise $100, they're going to throw in $10 towards your cause or campaign. If you have a campaign you want to fund, or for more information about these absolutely awesome guys, go to rwnjfunding.com. Or if you want to go to politainment.net, our website, the little website that could, you'll also see an RWNJ funding banner on there. So you can just simply click on that. Either way, check them out next time that you want to launch a cause or campaign and have it funded by people with your values and principles in mind. rwnjfunding.com. In our best efforts to anger Bernie Sanders, and because we believe in capitalism, according to me and Bunny, we'll be back after these messages from our sponsors. Hey, Sam, do you have any advice for those who miss our show when we're live every Wednesday night?
Yeah, they can stop hating America.
Well, obviously, but besides that.
Well, they can check out the podcasts.
That's true. You can catch According to Me and Bunny podcasts on SoundCloud, on Stitcher, on Spreaker, on iTunes, on TuneIn.
We get it. They can find us everywhere because I'm so freaking awesome.
It's always got to be about the bunny. Whatever.
This is John Greenhut, and if your teeth are stained from coffee, tea, or smoking, Power Swabs is the answer. In 5 minutes, you'll see 2 shades whiter teeth, and in 7 days, 6 shades. Even better, there's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth for 5 minutes, and you're done. To try Power Swabs, call 1-800-928-7113. Your bright white smile will have your friends talking about how great you look. Try it risk-free. 1-800-928-7113. That's 1-800-928-7113.
While you're liking dozens of cat memes and pictures of people's food, make sure you like us on Facebook.
And we know you're on Facebook. We get your Candy Crush requests. But good idea, Bunny. Like the According to Me and Bunny show on Facebook simply by searching for According to Me show and click like.
We share all the latest updates about the show, plus our favorite news stories, so like us.
Hey, Sam, don't you have your own Polita Bunny Facebook page?
Yes, like my page too. Find me on Facebook and like the GOP Bunny page.
GOP Bunny page? Ugh, that's awful. Why would you do that?
I have wanted to change it for years, but Mark Zuckerberg is a fascist bigot pig. Anyway, Facebook.com/According to Me Show and Facebook.com/GOP Bunny.
Bunny and Boehner sitting in a tree. KISS. Okay.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS?
Then get on board with the Tax Admiral and let us steer your way to financial freedom.
The IRS is the largest collection agency in the world. They can freeze your bank accounts, seize your car, home, will garnish your paychecks and benefits.
Don't take on the IRS alone. I can fight for you using industry secrets that can help stop the IRS. I'll cut your penalties, slash your interest, and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely.
We're an A-rated company with over 30 years experience helping people clean up their mess with the IRS. And we have a 95% customer satisfaction rating.
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, are facing an audit, a lien, or levy, then call me right away.
Call 800-329-6481. Again, that's 800-329-6481. 800-329-6481. 800-329-6481.
According to Me and Bunny, where listening is mandatory, but pants are always optional.
According to Me and Bunny, never PC, never gluten-free.
Welcome back to the show, folks. Before we get into Al Gore, something I actually meant to mention in the beginning of the show.
that I didn't get a chance to. We had the monologue, got a little carried away there. But for those of you who are hearing my voice maybe for the first time, or, have only started to hear me because, I do a show with Bunny, and maybe you're a Bunny fan from way back. Sam and I have done 6 shows together, maybe 7 tops. Combining my show and her show together, and the feedback we've gotten has been absolutely outstanding. Just incredibly positive. I mean, I know a lot of you guys drip me and say I'm a communist because I've never watched Back to the Future, and again, I'm working on that. But overwhelmingly, the feedback has been incredibly positive, and thank you for that. And that feedback not only encourages us to continue to do what we do, because we don't make any money doing this stuff, really. But we do it because we love it, and we do it because we know you're there saying, "Hey, you guys have a show? Well, when are you doing your next show?" I mean, that's motivation enough, and we certainly thank you for that. But also, we're starting to also have some affiliates who are picking up the show. Of course, if you hear us live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m., you know that we're on K98Talk.com, which is where we do our show live every Wednesday night. But also, we're on AltCon Radio. Our good friends at AltCon. SHR Media actually carries our show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern. So get your workday started off right with According to Me and Bunny. You could do that. We're on High Point Radio in New Jersey right now. And our newest affiliate, actually, we launched there this past Saturday. We didn't get a chance to mention this on last week's broadcast because, we're unprofessional and incompetent at times. But Right Talk USA actually is also our newest affiliate who's carrying the show, and actually also carries the Stafford Voice. Our good friend Daniel Stafford, who's on every Monday here on K98 every Monday at 10 o'clock. He's also on Right Talk USA as well. So, 5 affiliates carrying the show. Currently in conversations with other platforms and other media outlets to be able to have our voices heard on more and more networks that are out there. And, you are motivation enough to continue to do this show week in and week out. And we want to thank you for your feedback and support. And all we can ask is that if there are people that you think that would enjoy the show, share it with friends. Make sure that other people listen to it. Share it on the Facebooks. Share it on the Twitters. And also just let friends and family know, hey, you should check this show out. If they can't hear it live, they can hear it in many of the other platforms that we have the show available on. Again, all the other affiliates that are on there, as well as they can check out the podcast even and be able to at least get caught up to speed on the things we talk about every single week. And again, thank you for your support and feedback, and keep it coming. We definitely want to hear it from you. And again, thanks for doing what you do. And it's around this time of year every year where Al Gore, usually kind of late fall, early winter, sometimes he'll do, very late winter, early springtime, where he'll have that period of at least 3 to 4 weeks where he'll, hit up UN conferences or hit up universities throughout the country, or quite frankly, anybody will listen to him. And he'll, for example, now, of course, this week, and for the last couple of weeks or so, he's been going to, say Vermont and going, hey, everybody, it's Al Gore. And just know that the decrease in temperature, it's predicted that winter temperatures are going to be an all-time low. But please know that's the direct result of global warming, okay? I know it doesn't make sense, but low temperatures means warm temperatures, okay? Just because it's cold doesn't mean it's not warm. And this also gives me the ability to make fun of Al Gore and talk like him on the show, as I like to do from time to time, you see. And people say, hey, Al, how can I talk like you? If I wanted to do an impression of your voice, what would I do? And it's pretty simple. What you do is it's a combination of a couple of different people. You take Dr. Phil, for example. Doctor's like, you're an idiot. You take that voice, and you combine that with Kip from Napoleon Dynamite, who's been chatting online with hot babes all day. So you take Dr. Phil, and you take Kip from Napoleon Dynamite, and you combine that with Mr. Mackey from South Park, okay? And you take all those voices together, and you combine them, and they become Al Gore. It's actually pretty simple to do. Unlike the things that we need to do to save our planet immediately. Those things are difficult and hard, and I apologize, they're inconvenient. And if you're a veteran of the program, if you've heard my show before, you know that I have this feeling towards Al Gore, this burning loathing that's hotter and brighter than that of 1,000 Suns, and of course, much warmer because of climate change. And he's doing this because he has conferences with the UN in November and December. They're going to meet in Paris. They're going to come up with all these great plans to save the planet. So right now he's making the rounds to universities and saying that you kids of your age, you get it. Them older people don't understand, but we need to do something about this because boggles my mind how this guy continues to be the authority on climate change when every single thing he's ever said has been proven incorrect. Every time. Look at his predictions in An Inconvenient Truth where he shows the hockey stick and see this is showing just an insane pattern of warming. The planet hasn't warmed in 20 years. That's a fact. Well, we have to understand that it's not really warming. I mean, we said warming, but really what we meant was change and global, climate weirding. It's just weird, And the Bill Nyes and the Al Gores will say, and again, this time of year, so I'm just telling you now, be prepared for it, because here's what's going to happen. And this is what he said in those recent rounds. He talked at Stanford. He's like, we're in a state right now that clearly is being impacted by climate change. But you don't even have water here. And we know what the results of that are. And so the way the climate change alarmists try to spin anything is if there's drought, it's climate change. But if there's a lot of rain, which is the opposite of drought, that's also climate change. If it's really hot, it's climate change, but if it's really cold, it's climate change. If there's a lot of snow, it's climate change. If there's hurricanes or tornadoes, that's climate change, until none of the stats back up anything they claim, and then we have to understand that the planet's very hard to figure out. And again, I've had this conversation with my son, and I will say it again, because my son is 12 years old. He is at the ripe picking age of the Al Gore climate alarmists that go out there and tell him how evil and awful American capitalism and fossil fuels are, and your grandparents and your parents, those are the ones who are responsible for this, but you're the youth. You can change it. Go home and tell your parents you need to recycle and you need to do this and you need to do that. And I said, look, and his name's Jason. He's a junior as well. I say, Jason, anybody asks you this question about climate change and they get on you about it, just simply raise your hand and ask someone this question and say, how come is it our local weatherman can't tell me with 100% certainty if it's going to rain tomorrow or if it's going to be bright and sunny tomorrow, but yet I'm supposed to believe a climate pattern that's simulated over several hundred years. Your local weatherman is wrong 50% of the time when it comes to this week's forecast, but some computer simulation ran by quotation fingers experts and Al Gore as the mouthpiece. We're supposed to believe that. When this guy did a film, 7 years ago, that has proven to be incorrect on almost everything he said. Almost everything he warned about has not happened. See, by 2014 or 2015, the polar ice caps are going to be almost completely melted, and it's going to have a tremendous impact on our planet and rising sea levels throughout the world. Well, one of my favorite stories of all time happened last year, where a bunch of greenie weenies get in a boat and they go to the Arctic because they're going to try to prove that climate change is really happening, and they get their boat stuck in ice. And then another boat who's trying to rescue them also gets their boat stuck in ice. And so you have like 3 countries worth of boats trying to get these asshats out of ice. The same ones who are trying to prove that it's all melted are stuck in ice. And it's still happening now. Not people trying to disprove it, but you can't get a boat through the North Pole area. The North Arctic of the world. You can't get a boat through it because it's all frozen solid. We have more ice right now at the North Pole than we've had in a long, long time, but yet it's supposed to be global warming, and that's weird because I thought frozen ice is the opposite of melted ice, and ice melts when it's warm, but if it's frozen, then it's not. Weird. I can't figure this out, but I'm sure that Alice has to do with this whole climate weirding thing that's going on, because you have no facts to back up anything you say, so you just say a bunch of gobbledygook. And look, weather's very complicated, and I know you're too dumb to understand it. So leave it up to the experts like Al Gore, because, I mean, we all know if there's anybody who really knows what he's talking about, it's Al Gore. I mean, he goes on Conan O'Brien and says this.
But 2 kilometers or so down, in most places, there are these incredibly hot rocks, because the interior of the Earth is extremely hot, several million degrees.
When the czar of climate change goes on national television and tries to tell you about geothermal energy, and we use incredibly hot rocks because down there, several million degrees, it's very, very warm. Even though the core of the Earth, the super duper hottest part of the Earth is 6,000 degrees. And the surface of the sun, Al, is 11,000 degrees. But somehow, rocks that are a couple kilometers down or so are several million degrees. This is the guy who is the be-all, end-all climate expert. Look, folks, climate change and all of the scare tactics have been about 2 things. 1, those who have invested in alternative energy companies and alternative methods of energy are waiting for their payday. So we demonize the fossil fuels, the big oil and coal and all the things that are dirty for the environment. And it's the Al Gores of the world who have money tied up in all of the clean alternative ways. The same people who demonize big business and people making profits, so that's all they're doing as well. They're all behind the scenes, just making sure their chosen entities rise to the top as we find alternative ways to power our planet and to be globally and eco-friendly and responsible. And the redistribution of wealth. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget about taking the riches and national resources and industry this country has. Let's destroy that so we can make third world countries who have no resources whatsoever, that they too have a chance to help fight the cause that is climate change, while we let other countries dominate the world stage economically, don't hold them to any level of responsibility whatsoever. They can just do whatever the hell they want to do, but we're going to feel so much better about ourselves over here in America while we destroy jobs and our economy at the same time, all over BS scare tactics with no solid proof or data behind them. There's so many resources, so many books that disprove the claims of Al Gore and the greeny weeny climate change alarmists. If you subscribe to the podcast, I've done an entire episode dedicated to this with a lot more facts than whatever, but when he gets in the news, I just have to rant and rave about it because he drives me insane. There's a lot of information that's out there. whatsupwiththat.com, WATTS upwiththat.com. Great resource with tons of information. You can really dork out on that website. There's also a lot of great books that are out there that really prove or disprove a lot of the things that these idiots claim. And there's a great place you can get those books, and of course, that's at Amazon.com. Now, if you go to Polititainment.net, you'll see the Amazon banner at the top of the page. You click on that, and there's so many great things we've talked about over the last couple of weeks that you've been able to get your hands on. Again, just by going to Polititainment.net and click on the Amazon banner at the top of the page. We talked about a book called Force Gay by Aliens. It's only $2.99. Check that out. Last week, I unveiled the Goatee Saver, a template that you put in your mouth and you shave around the template so you have a perfect goatee every single time. And this week, we have another great book. While you're on Amazon, you can get Force Gay by Aliens. There's some really good books in regards to climate change or lack thereof, showing the actual facts behind what's happened to the planet's climate over the last, say, 1,000 years or so. But while you're buying those, again, by going to Polititainment.net and clicking on the Amazon banner at the top of the page, there's another story I want you to get. And if you don't want to read it, I will gladly read it and do some show homework and report back with the results. But I got to warn you, if it's for yourself, it is NC-17. So this is a very, very risque novel that sensitive eyes shouldn't read. And if you're familiar with Clippy, who, if you're a person who uses Microsoft Word, for example, a couple of years ago, you'd fire up Microsoft Word and Clippy would show up. You remember the little paper clip would be like, hey, what you doing? You want me to show you how to do things on Word? And of course, if you've been using Word for a decade, like I have been, you're like, no, get the hell out of my way. But you know who Clippy is, right? And every once in a while, they check in on you and go, dink, dink. Hey, how you doing? You need any help? This is an annoying piece. He's a Jar Jar Binks of Microsoft Word, right? That's who Clippy was. Well, again, it's NC-17, so sensitive eyes and ears here. But Clippy is involved in an erotic short story that's sold on Amazon.com called Conquered by Clippy. And it's a sexy overhaul involving Clippy in an erotic episode about a paperclip. And it's probably a very, very impactful story that really will warm the cockles of one's heart. And I suggest you pick that up. Again, it's only $2.99, Conquered by Clippy, an erotic short story. Again, NC-17, so be warned. But you can get that and all the other great things we talked about and some serious stuff on Amazon.com. Again, just go to Polititainment.net, click on the Amazon banner at the top of the page, and a portion of everything you buy on Amazon goes to your friends at Polititainment, helps us grow, and you get the stuff you're shopping for anyway. So it's a win-win. Bada bing, bada boom. You know what I mean? Understand? Did it? You hear? I hear ya. Okay, coming up next, gonna take a quick little break, but when we come back, McDonald's and Nickelback, the similarities, plus the asset of the week. That's next, here on According to Me and Bunny.
Barack Obama and Mitch McConnell's second most hated internet radio program will be right back. Don't go anywhere, or I'll find you.
All right, Polititainment Patriots, we're going to pull the audience here. Raise your hand if you know all that is to be known and all the ins and outs about workplace and employment law. Huh? There's only one guy with his hand raised. Well, that doesn't surprise me. But anyway, go ahead and ask me a question. What is it? Oh, who knows anything about workplace and employment law? I'm glad you asked. It's the guy raising his hand. Proud sponsor of Polititainment and an expert you can trust, attorney Ted Hong. Are you an employee who's been fired or being denied benefits for being a crazy right-wing extremist? Or are you a business owner who wants to make sure the feds and unions don't come after you for non-compliant workplace regulations or labor contracts? Well, then you need Ted Hong. Ted's been doing this for over 30 years. Plus, him and his amazing legal team also handle family and property law and estate litigation. You need to call our guy, attorney Ted Hong, at 808-933-1919 or visit TedHongLaw.com. Ted Hong, an experienced and principled attorney you can trust. 808-933-1919 or TedHongLaw.com.
Are you conservative in a world of liberal? Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, you're not alone. Hey, I'm Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice, and I'd like to invite you to tune in each Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern, where I'll break down the events of the week, and together we'll learn about how they affect you. So, sit back and get ready for the good, the bad, and the ugly of talk radio right here on K98 Talk.
It's happening and nothing can stop it. It's the dramatic reinvention of talk radio.
Here come the spy dolphins.
The only thing that can cure racism is Robert E. Lee's penis.
Who named this cat Limberbutt McCubbin? A Trump-Biden debate.
Plugs versus rugs. Real serious nonsense. The show's so bad, you'll laugh at us.
The worst podcast. We obviously hold that title.
Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
The conversation doesn't have to stop just because we aren't live on the air.
You know, that's true. Chat with us before, during, and after every show by following us on Twitter.
Follow Jason, please. I'm tired of him whining about it. At ATM_show.
Yeah, and follow Sam on Twitter at PolitiBunny. Or don't follow her. It's not like she's going to notice.
Plus, use the hashtag #MeAndBunny throughout the week, and we will read some of our favorite tweets you send on the air.
Hey, listen, I don't think we should be promoting hashtags. I mean, that's a states' rights issue.
Oh, brother. Follow Jason at ATM_show and follow me at PolitiBunny.
According to Me and Bunny, they keep it straight gangsta, yo. Welcome back to the show, folks. McDonald's in the news this week. And if you're an According to Me veteran, you know where I stand on McDonald's. But if you're new to the program, let me let you in on something. I am a staunch defender of McDonald's. And why? Because someone has to be, besides Jim Gaffigan. It can't just be Jim fighting the battle alone. Someone's got to join him, and damn it, I'm going to do it. And here is why. It is so popular nowadays to absolutely demonize and destroy McDonald's and everything it's ever done, ever. It's so many people look down their nose at people go, oh my God, McDonald's. I wouldn't even step foot in that place. I don't even like to look at it as I drive by. It's the most vile, disgusting place on the planet. Oh, McDonald's. I'd much rather go to a Chipotle or some a much more fancy and clean and healthy establishment. And the bad pub for McDonald's always beats the good pub. The Super Size Me Morgan Spurlock things like, that changed my life. I'll never eat McDonald's again. Fast food as a whole is bad, but especially McDonald's. I'll never do that again. Unless you're a teacher in Iowa who last year lost like 65 pounds by eating McDonald's 3 meals a day for a year. Because if you get sick or you get fat off of McDonald's, don't blame McDonald's. Blame yourself. Because there's good things to eat at McDonald's, and there's bad things to eat at McDonald's. You see? And again, just for the record, a carnitas burrito bowl at Chipotle has more calories and fat than anything on the McDonald's menu by a mile. But, who cares? And I teased in the beginning of the show and leading up to the break how I compare Nickelback to McDonald's. And the reason I compare the two is because McDonald's is popular to hate. In fact, it's not only popular to hate, it's encouraged by others to have you hate them as well, even if you really don't care. No, you really... They're so awful. Oh my God. Much they hate Nickelback. They're the worst band on the planet. They're radio sellouts. Their music is garbage. It's crap. Chad Kroeger sucks. The guitars suck. They're the worst band on the planet. I would rather listen to two squirrels having sex for an hour than listen to Nickelback song for 5 minutes. They're awful. And here, in front of your friends, of course, you'll say McDonald's. Oh my God, just go anywhere but McDonald's. But when you're by yourself, you're going, got 2 for $4 Big Macs going on. I'm kind of hungry. I don't know. I'm about to hit me up some McDonald's. I hope no one sees me because McDonald's, ew. And it's the same thing with Nickelback. The same people who tell you Nickelback's the worst band on the planet and the worst band of all time, when Nickelback has a new album that comes out, guess which album shoots all the way up to #1? And that's Nickelback's new album. Wait, that's weird. So you mean the most downloaded stuff on iTunes and the most purchased album in America is the band that everyone says they hate? Well then, something tells me most people are lying. And that's what it comes down to in McDonald's. It's easier to hate on them, but deep down, you know you like them. Now, I will rip on McDonald's when it's necessary to do so. When the new president of the company comes out and goes, look, we need to be a more progressive, forward-thinking restaurant fast food chain. We're going to offer a bunch of other options that people want us to offer, like kale and healthy alternatives. Look, no one's going to McDonald's for kale. They're going for burgers and fries. Here's an idea, McDonald's. Just simply make better food and more people will buy your stuff. It's that simple. But when you get it right, McDonald's, I'm going to give you props. And the fact that you, as of October 6th, am offering the majority of your breakfast menu all day long, bravo. Because you can be the best cook in the world, but I challenge you to make something as good as a McGriddle. Go for it. Sorry, I don't write the rules. I just have taste buds, okay? And instead of fries, you can get hash browns. Dude, is there anything better than a McDonald's hash brown? Especially if you're hungover. There's nothing better. I'm sorry. Again, McDonald's, Nickelback. It's popular to hate them, but deep down, you know you like them. For this week's This week's Asshat of the Week has a little audio for you.
The only thing I would like to say, the question that I would like to ask is how on earth could he compile 13 guns? How can that happen? You know, they talk about gun laws, they talk about gun control. Every time something like this happens, they talk about it and nothing is done. I'm not trying to say that that's the blame for what happened, but if Chris had not been able to get a hold of 13 guns, it wouldn't have happened.
Look, maybe this is rude. Maybe this isn't the right thing to do. Maybe I don't give a damn. Because this week's Asshat of the Week is Ian Mercer, father of the psychopath in Oregon. And it's not my place to judge. So I'm not making him the Asshat of the Week because of what his son did or what kind of father he is. That's none of my business. But you know what is my business? When you go on national television, Ian, and say, well, look, just one thing I got to say, even though I really have nothing else to say other than I feel really bad. But let me take my 15 seconds of fame and just make this very clear. Guns are bad. And look, I'm not blaming the guns, but if my son didn't have guns, he wouldn't have done this, so I'm blaming the guns. I truly believe you don't know what to say. I truly believe you feel terrible. I truly believe you are at loss of words of how to explain what your psycho son did. And you feel terrible for the families involved. But let me tell you something. You don't have the right to go on national television and tell me, as an American, as a father, as a husband, as a grown-ass man, that my freedoms and my Second Amendment right and the ability to defend myself and my family, that those rights are trumped and go away because we now have to have increased gun control to prevent psychos like your son from doing what they do. That's the issue there, Ian? Really? Shut the hell up. Look in the mirror. Don't look at the gun. Those who live in glass houses, okay? Oh, but don't forget, he did say this.
Even people that believe in the right to bear arms. You know, what right do you have to take people's lives? That's what guns are, the killers. It's simple as that. It's as simple as that. It's black and white. What do you want a gun for?
Well, you're right. I don't have the right to take anyone's life, neither did your son. But what do I need the gun for? To defend myself and my family against psychos like your kid. Ian Mercer, you're this week's Asshat of the Week.
Tune in next week for another exciting installment of Asshat of the Week.
That's going to put the finishing touches on this week's episode of According to Me and Bunny. We talked a lot of stuff this week. We talked Oregon. We talked gun control and the knee-jerk reactions from the left and kind of my whole opinion on the entire thing. We talked about Nickelback and its relationship to McDonald's, Al Gore's crazy climate predictions, and the Asshat of the Week. We'll be back next week faster than you can say furious. Bunny's going to join me. I swear. But until then, thanks for listening, and good night, America.